we are, Old City, Philadelphia. Today is a historic day because today the city is still kind of filled with smoke from the Canadian wildfire. And we also, the citizens of the United States, one of our national treasures, has reopened. This is the second bank of the United States. It was opened after the War of 1812. It's no longer a bank. It's now a portrait gallery of the Founding Fathers and other people too. A lot of the portraits inside this gallery were painted by a guy named Charles Willson Peale, who was like the portrait artist of the Founding Fathers. As a matter of fact, I see a picture of Mr. Peale right there. So this is Charles Willson Peale. Here we are. What's going on, cuz? Ooh, this is awesome. Hear that? That is the bell. The Centennial Bell. That is an inside Independence Hall. And that bell is made of 4 cannons. And the bell inside that steeple is made with 4 cannons. 2 cannons from the Battle of Gettysburg and 2 cannons, and I think it's from the Battle of Saratoga. So every time you hear that bell ringing, it's not just a bell. It's cannons of American history that were, very important moments. When this was the second bank of the United States, this was the office of Nicholas Biddle, and he ran the second bank. This is the coat of arms of Philadelphia. So his office, if you look out this window, if you go past that tree, it's Independence Hall. So that's what he looked at every day. This, the second bank of the United States, isn't a very popular attraction. A lot of people don't know this is an attraction, but in the summertime, it's very not crowded and air conditioning. This is the portrait gallery itself. This is William White, who only lived right down the street. He was the bishop of the Founding Fathers. They all went to church. When they went to church, he was the preacher. There's Martha Washington. There's Lafayette. And both of these paintings were done by Charles Willson Peale. If you look in this building, it's absolutely incredible. Just an amazing looking building. And, it used to be a bank. And as a matter of fact, if you come in here and you look at these columns, you see these little holes here. That's where, this is where the bank tellers were. They would stand here on this side. And there he is. That's Charles Willson Peale. That's the guy who did a lot of the paintings in here. You see right up there, the ceiling was falling apart. A lot of the building had cracks in the ceiling. It had a little bit of water damage. Looks like they painted over a lot of it. How do you have a light bulb out after being closed for 1.5 years? I don't know. Oh, that's John Nixon. He's the first guy to read the Declaration of Independence in front of Independence Hall. He read it. It's Nicholas Biddle. He was the guy who ran the second bank of the United States. His office was the office I was in. And they don't make them like that anymore. Right behind that tree, that's the second bank of the United States. There is Independence Hall. Just gonna walk around for a minute, see what's going on in Center City. It's 4th of July weekend, so usually stuff going on around these parts. This just got installed like recently. This talks about the history of Independence Hall. If you look, this is what Independence Hall, it's right there. And all of this was where I'm standing. Matter of fact, I'm standing probably either here or here. I don't know. I'm standing here right now in this parking lot. So this is what it looked like in 1948. And then within less than 100 years, it's all gone. And it's a national park. The Liberty Bell is inside this building. Back in the 50s, I think the Liberty Bell was on display inside Independence Hall. So this is the line for the Liberty Bell. The reason why there's a line is because there's a metal detector you have to go to. And for some reason, whenever you wait in line at a metal detector, there's no other, it just takes forever to put your belt back on. People standing here are about 15 minutes away from the Liberty Bell, which means the people in the very back of the line about 25 minutes. The Liberty Bell, there's a whole display. It talks about the history of the Liberty Bell, but not only the history in the United States, but the history around the world of what that symbol means to other nations. It's not just an American symbol, it's a symbol of liberty around the world. So when George Washington was president of the United States, this was the foundation of the house. Also, John Adams, when he was president of the United States, it was the foundation of his house too. This is sort of the outline of the house of where George Washington lived. Back in 1790, you would come up here and knock on the door, and there was a good chance, well, actually not that good of a chance because he had slaves, but there was a good possibility George Washington would answer the door himself. I'm at the corner of 7th and Market, and this building here is a replica of the building where Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. I believe it was on that top floor there. He had a room, it was him, he had a young, like 13, 14-year-old slave with him, and he wrote, with the help of Ben Franklin, John Adams, and other, the Declaration of Independence in a building that looked just like that building, just not that building. By the way, this is called the Declaration House. I'm a big history buff. I love the history of Philadelphia. I've never been in here. It's never open. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of historic buildings that have been shut down for the past few months to get spruced up for 2026, because that's when, it's the 250th anniversary of the United States being a country. If you look at this building here, this is called the Litt Brothers Building. This kind of shows you what shopping was like in the Philadelphia area in the mid-1950s. This used to be the Litt Brothers department store. If you go inside the Litt Brothers now, there's a store called Five Below, and that's probably a great spot to get your Philly tourist merch. Here's another part of American history with Thomas Jefferson. This plaque talks about how Thomas Jefferson, when he was Secretary of State, his office stood at the corner of this building, which became Strawbridge and Clothier in the early late 1800s, early 1900s, and Thomas Jefferson's office stood at the corner of 8th and Market. They knocked down that historic site to expand the department store, and they put this little plaque to tell you, hey, it used to be here, but we knocked it down for a department store that no longer exists. Your department store started in Thomas Jefferson's old Secretary of State building. So it's kind of, I don't know. We knocked down a lot of stuff. My favorite store at the Fashion District was the Armani store. I liked the clearance rack. I once got a pair of $200 jeans for $12. I guess that's why they closed. Damn. That hurts. So if you want to see how people shop in 2023, you come here. This is the Fashion District. So this is one of the areas they're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers building their new stadium. And one of the things that will be eliminated if they build the arena is going to be the Greyhound bus station, which already moved. Uh-oh. Oh, the Greyhound bus station closed. Breaking Philadelphia news. The bus station, the Greyhound bus station, where millions of people would go and travel, are gone. Oh no. Not really a good idea to be a taxi person here. Oh, that's it. That's my little historic walk around Philadelphia. I hope you enjoyed that. I know sometimes I show the horrible side of Philadelphia, like the parking authority towing the cars.